if there are questions to be asked. We are also, as Ms. Firestone mentioned, live streaming this on YouTube, so it can be reviewed at a later date. At this point, I don't think we have any members of the public in attendance, but staff will be monitoring the participant screen, and we'll handle those accordingly if anyone joins.
Okay, thank you, Chet. Janice, will you please do a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Town of Ashland, Ms. Amos. Charles City County, Ms. Russell. Mr. Mitchell. Chesterfield County, Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Walker.
Here.
Goochland County, Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Goyne.
Here.
Hanover County, Mr. Badunez.
Here.
Mr. Flagg. Henrico County, Vice Chair Smidler.
Here.
Thank you. New Kent County, Chair LeDuc.
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Shardine.
Here. Here.
City of Richmond, Ms. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Bridewell.
Here.
Thank you. Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
Thank you. GRTC, Ms. Zink. Ms. Robinson.
Here.
Plan RBA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Ariel. Ride Finders, Ms. Tisdale. Mr. O'Keefe.
Here.
Metropolitan Transit, Ms. Simmons. VDOT, Ms. McAdory. And Ms. Mueller.
Here.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance, and we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 1. Any amendments to the meeting agenda, Chet?
No amendments to note.
Okay, great. We'll move on to item 2, approval of the March 21st and April 12th meeting minutes. I assume we should do these separately in case anyone needs to abstain. So we'll go for the March 21st meeting minutes. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Irona, second.
Thank you, Dirona. Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the March 21st, 2022 minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. We'll go to April 12th minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Joe.
John O'Keefe, I'll second.
Thank you, John. Motion and second to approve the April 12th meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone oppose or abstain? All right. Move on to item 3. Chet said there wasn't anybody in the public quite yet. Did anybody join in the last 30 seconds?
No, we still don't have any members of the public with us.
All right, great. Item 4, report. Thanks for bearing with me. I had some technical issues this morning, but we got it figured out. Moving right along. Item 5, TPO update. Mr. Parsons.
Yes, thank you. On page 10 of your packet was the current work efforts update. We did have our policy board meeting last week where the bike ped RVA 2045 plan was adopted. So congratulations to everyone that has been involved with that through the, I believe, 2 years that's been under development. That's a huge effort, that huge accomplishment for the region. We also have a couple other things that are highlighted in the packet. I'd be happy to take any questions on that, but otherwise we can move on to the next item under the Secretary's report or the TPO update. We are scheduled to hold our the first joint board meeting on June 2nd, which is a combination meeting of the TPO, the CVTA, and the Plain RVA Commission to take a look back at the past 2 years and celebrate the accomplishments that have been reached, and then talk about what's to come. So this is going to be a little bit of a departure from regular meetings. We do have one business item, which I'll discuss under item 6. That's going to need to get some attention on June 2nd, but we're really trying to focus on kind of a higher level joint discussion about who we are regionally and what we do. So we will continue to work with TAC and others to make sure the work moves forward as needed. And please, if any of you note anything over the next couple of weeks that we may be missing, I think we've got a good handle on all the necessary actions so that we don't lose a step. But that's where we're headed for June 2nd. Madam Chair, that's it for the update. Yep.
Thank you, Chet. You're up again for item 6 whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the time when we are bringing forward the FY23 Unified Planning Work Program. That's on page 12 in your packet. We stuck with the same layout and organization that we've used the last 2 years for the UPWP. Tried to focus on brevity and clarity as opposed to lots of descriptive text and other tools that we've used in the past. I did want to highlight we have a couple differences for this year based on the projected work that's going to need to be done. We added a new task under 7300 long range transportation planning. This task is 7315. It's specific to scenario planning. This is going to be a major effort that we're going to undertake, not just for the initial impetus was transportation for the outputs of that planning process and to be able to influence the next long range plan. This is something that is highlighted in most federal guidance right now that scenario planning should be considered. We had hoped to have that as part of the recently adopted 2045 long range plan, but due to COVID, we felt we couldn't give it enough attention. So we're focusing on this next long range plan cycle to do some significant work under scenario planning. And it looks like there may be an opportunity to think about not just transportation, but all of the work that's being done under the Plain RVA umbrella and how it all relates to each other and the work that each of you are doing in your jurisdictions. So we're very excited about that process and have been building the budget for that over the last few years. So we're looking forward to getting that underway. We do have a new planner on staff. I'm not sure if everyone was introduced yet, but Nicole Keller is with us, and she is focusing on resiliency. So again, another strong federal guidance to look at. Nicole's saying hi. Another strong federal guidance to look at resiliency as part of our transportation efforts. So we do have that as part of our work program, and that's something that we're again excited about being able to focus on for this coming year. I'd be happy to take any questions on this. Most of our budgeted amount is for 7300, the long range transportation planning processes. We do have just over 500,000 in short range transportation planning. Another major effort this year is we're starting up the next round of our transportation improvement program. So that's under short range planning, and that's going to be a major effort. It's going to include a lot of work that we started under the long range plan in regards to equity and modeling and performance-based planning and programming, those kinds of tools that we've implemented at a lot of our products to gauge impact of projects and those kinds of things, and that's going to be built into the TIP process next. I do the final budget numbers, which we have included on page 29 of the work program is the best resource. It's the next to last page. That's the overall summary of the budget, including our different grant sources, PL 5303 and Service Transportation Block Grant. I did want to put Nicole Mueller on the spot because as of this morning, we have revised PL numbers. So I wanted to just hopefully Nicole is able to provide a brief overview of what the revisions are so that we can consider those in any discussion and recommendation that comes out of the TAC.
Sure, Chet, no problem. I can share my screen if you want me to show the table for the final budget.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, did the table come up?
Yes.
Perfect. So as you may recall, the TPO can carry over funds from previous years into the new fiscal year. Direct carryover funds can be requested from FY22 directly into FY23. Generally, the deprogramming happens in 2-year cycles, meaning FY21 funds will automatically be deprogrammed into FY23, and the TPO requested funds to be carried over from FY22 to FY23 in the amount of $84,748. It happened a little bit later this year because generally the deadline is at the end of March, and this year they gave us until the end of April. So that's why we had a short turnaround time. And I did receive the final budget numbers this morning at 6:45. So I apologize for the last minute update. But on your screen, you should be able to see the final budget numbers.
So Nicole, just to clarify, the difference between what we have in the draft work program and what's on the screen is the FY22 deprogramming?
That's correct. So the last table I think I sent you was at the end of March, but it did not include the FY22 carryover funds. So that's the only difference this morning.
Okay. Madam Chair, staff's recommendation for clarity for the committee this morning is that the $84,748.75 shown on line 8 on the screen would be shown in the draft work program under 7230 contingency. That is currently zeroed out in PL. So that would be staff's recommendation on where to highlight that for any recommendations that the TAC might consider.
Okay.
With that, I am happy to take any questions. I blew through that. Hopefully people have had a chance to look at it in advance.
Okay, thank you, Chet. Any questions? I see Tiffany and Barb. I don't know who was first. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so on table 29 for the 5303, does that include your carryover from FY22? Because I know there is still a significant balance that you have for FY22. And so I just wanted to check those numbers because I'll follow up with you a little bit, but the numbers are a little off from the allocation that we have for FY23.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'd be happy to follow up afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. You done, Tiffany? Okay. Barb?
Chet, you mentioned that scenario planning wasn't going to be constrained entirely on transportation, that it was going to roll over into Plan RVA. Are there Plan RVA funds included to offset that work effort?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. The funds that are identified in the work program are solely for transportation focused work in scenario planning. We do have some prospects for additional funds through other sources in the community that would really be focused on, we hope, public engagement and education in terms of scenario planning and what regional issues are and those kinds of things that would take place over the next 18 months. So that would all be outside of what you see in the budget today. Everything we show is specific federal and state sources for transportation dollars, and that's where it would go.
Got it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the group? Okay. Don't see anything in the chat or any more hands up. So,
Madam Chair, can I make one more recommendation?
Yeah.
Given the comments that Ms. Dubinsky shared and the acknowledgement that we have some additional PL funds to consider, I think that we have set up this budget so that all of our work tasks are covered based on what you see in table 3 on page 29. Our suggestion is that if TAC's comfortable with it, to recommend approval for June 2nd by the full policy board, with the understanding that we may adjust the contingency line to account for any additional PL and 5303 funds that are identified. I think we'll be fine in terms of the other work tasks to cover the work that we have outlined for the year.
okay. That sounded like a great language for a motion. Someone would like to take a shot.
This is Barb.
Go ahead, Barb.
I'd make a motion to recommend to the TPO adoption of the UPWP with minor adjustments to the contingency line that might happen between now and then.
Okay. Thank you, Barb. Is there a second?
This is Nicole. I'll second.
Thank you, Nicole. Should we do a roll call vote for this, Chet?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Would you take the roll call, please, Janice?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye. And then there's Hanover too.
thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Badunez.
Aye.
Thank you. Chair Leduc,
Aye.
Mr. Shardine,
Aye.
Miss Clark,
Aye.
Miss Dubinsky,
Aye.
Miss Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
and Miss Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chet. We'll move on to item 7, FY21 through 24 TIP amendment, VDOT request. Miles?
Sure. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of TAC. This is a TIP amendment that was requested by VDOT. We had one project submitted as part of this request. This is a CMAQ project, so it's previously been reviewed by the TAC and by the policy board. And just as a reminder, for all of the TIP amendments, we have to go through several different steps. We have to have a conformity determination for air quality. We have to demonstrate constraints, so basically that we can fund the project within available revenues, public review, and then the TAC review and TPO approval. So this project is UPC 118148. This is the Richmond Signal System phase 4. So this is a continuation of the ongoing signal system project. Essentially with this project, the city will be replacing the existing wiring with new conduit and fiber optics, and then they have to acquire additional signal controllers and cabinets that are compatible with the fiber optic system, so bigger cabinets to accommodate the new controllers. This is all on existing signalized intersections, so it's just basically replacing the existing control devices and upgrading and future-proofing. In terms of conformity, staff reviewed the list of potential exemptions, and we feel that the safety exemption for traffic control devices and operating assistance other than signalization projects would apply in this case. Again, this is already signalized intersection, so this isn't a new signalization. In terms of the planned obligations, as I mentioned before, this is all CMAQ funded. So in FY22, we have $474,400 of CMAQ. And then we also have advanced construction. Essentially, this is an accounting technique to allow the project to get started before all the revenue's there. As you see in FY23, there's an AC conversion plan. So this would then convert that $560,000 to CMAQ. And that's just because we have our allocations spread over 2 years for PE. So in terms of the action requested from the TAC today, is a recommendation on this resolution, and there's essentially two parts. The first adds this project to the FY21 to FY24 TIP. The second notes that the project would be considered exempt from conformity under the provisions under the safety rule that we mentioned before. So that's everything that we're asking for today. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Miles. Any questions for Miles? Don't see any hands. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
This is Barb Smith. I'll make a motion to amend the TIP, recommend amending the TIP to add the signal system phase 4 for project.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Is there a second?
John O'Keefe, I'll second.
Okay, thank you, John. Miles, do you want a voice vote for this one? Or I mean a roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Janice, did you take a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair LeDuc,
Aye.
Mr. Chardine,
Aye.
Ms. Clark,
Aye.
Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously as well.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 8, another TIP amendment, DRPT request. Go ahead, Miles.
Sure. Thank you again. So this is a DRPT request related to the FTA 5310 program. So we had several projects selected for funding this year, but 2 of them are new and not currently included in the TIP. So we need to amend the TIP to add these projects. Again, we have to go through all the steps that we just mentioned on the last TIP amendment. So this is a kind of an interesting one. This is capital cost of contracting is the description for these projects. So in short, what this is a form of operating assistance that's treated as capital. Basically, FTA recipients can use third parties to provide different services. So leasing vehicles, maintenance, actually providing the transit service itself. And FTA has created a rule that basically allows that to be treated as a capital cost for the purposes of the contractor's privately purchased equipment. So depreciating the vehicles or the maintenance equipment, a share of the purchase cost for vehicles or equipment. So it's treated as capital as opposed to an operating side. And basically, depending on the type of contract, whether it's a lease for vehicles, if it's a lease and maintenance, there's a whole bunch of different combinations you can make. FTA's share of the project contract can range from 0% up to 100%. And then again, since it's treated as capital, this is 80% of the eligible cost of that contract. So it's an interesting approach. It's been around since the 80s, but it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past for the 5310 projects. So there's two projects that fall under this. The first is in Chesterfield County. And again, it's the capital cost of contracting is the description. So here's a couple of the providers that the county uses, and it's $500,000 per year through FY24, and it's actually 400,000 of that would be the 5310 funds. And again, under conformity, this is one of those where it's not a clear-cut description, but all of the sort of elements are covered. So operating assistance is clearly covered, rehabilitation of transit vehicles, purchase of vehicles to minor expansion of the fleet. So staff felt that under the mass transit exemptions, there's a clear case to be made that this is exempt from following, having to go through any additional steps for conformity. The same thing in Hanover County. They have the program for DASH there as well. Same thing, capital cost of contracting. A little bit more on this one. So it's 557 in FY22 and then 600,000 for the last 2 years of the TIP. And then we had the same list of potential exemptions here. So hopefully that was a very clear description. And if there's more questions, maybe Tiffany can provide a little more detail on the capital cost of contracting. But the motion that we're requesting today is basically a recommendation on the same type of resolution so that the TIP would be amended to add both of those two projects and that these projects are considered exempt from conformity under the conformity rule for mass transit. So we left it a little more general on that side. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, Tiffany, did you want to add anything or did anyone have any questions?
No, I think Miles covered it. And in general, we do capital cost of contracting, for example, with rideshare for third parties that are providing rideshare services. So this is something that's consistent, but to Miles' point, this is something that we have not done historically in the past with 5310. So this is going to be something that's fairly new for those recipients receiving 5310 funds.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And it may be Tiffany or Miles. So this request was made through the 5310 program originally, correct? Or was it not?
It came through from us at DRPT from our finance division.
Oh, but I thought through some previous like TPO approval when we submitted like the resolution of support.
Yes.
Were these two not included?
These were included. So they were listed differently. I believe it was listed under mobility or something previously. And so it's just a change in the description because we have more information essentially. So when we had it, we just had a general letter request summarizing the request. And that's what we brought to TAC back in, I think it was February. And this is, now that we have the detail and there's actually funding to it, this is the description that needs to go for FTA.
Yeah, and so this actually allows, yeah, okay, I understand. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any hands? Okay, if not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, Diana, to
Okay,
approve the TIP amendments as presented for these two projects.
This is Barb, a second.
all right. Thank you, ladies. Janice, would you take the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Smidler,
Aye.
Chair Leduc,
Aye.
Mr. Shardine,
Aye.
Ms. Clark,
Aye.
Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Miles. Number 9, they don't have a staff member assigned. Usually Sulab takes care of these, but don't know who's going to talk about the 2050 Socioeconomic Data Work Group.
That will be Sulab. Apologies.
Okay. There he is. Oh, we can't hear you, Sulab. Can't hear you. I feel your pain. Give him a
Madam
minute
Chair,
to
maybe we can
connect.
go forward with the agency updates and come back.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yep.
Oh, there he
Okay.
is.
Sorry. Something.
Whatever you want to do, no problem.
Yeah, something happened. I think the mic got muted. So, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the TAC. I'll be brief. So, as you all know, the 2045 long-range transportation plan was adopted in October. It's already 6 months. So it's time now to look forward for 2050 long-range transportation plan, as well as the new thing which we are doing, scenario planning, which also requires the 2050 data. So as we have done in a lot of previous times, we normally establish a subcommittee of the TAC called the Socioeconomic Work Group, in which the locality members as well as other TAC members validate the staff created data. So I'm requesting the TAC to authorize the formation or establishment of the socioeconomic work group. The members would be locality members, anyone from the locality who is best fit to confirm the population and employment data at the TAZ level, as well as GRTC, DRPT, and VDOT. And apart from the TAC members, we'll have 2 other members, which would be, one would be Tri-Cities MPO representative, and as well as VDOT member from Central Office TMPD. So we'll be working on developing 2050 socioeconomic data. It's going to be a little bit different this time because of COVID impact. So we haven't decided whether we'll be updating the base year or not, but the future year would be updated to 2050. And the main reason for that is that there's been a lot of changes since we developed 2045, mainly in our big 3 localities, the Powhite Corridor in Chesterfield, the Green City development in Henrico, and a lot of new developments in Richmond, which hasn't been captured in 2045, which we want to capture in 2050. So I think that's it. And the resolution is basically to ask you to establish a socioeconomic work group and provide the designated appointees by May 27th, which is basically 2 weeks from now. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Sulab. Any questions? Okay, so we'll follow up with you when we have some appointments to make then.
So there's a motion.
I mean, we'll take action. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I move that we approve the establishment of the Socioeconomic Data Work Group and designate employees by May 27th, 2022.
Okay, how do you want us to do that, Sulab?
You can just send an email to Chet or myself or Janice.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, thank you, Tom, for the motion. Is there a second?
This is Barb.
I'll
I'll
second
second.
the motion.
Okay, I heard a unanimous, a Nora and a Barb.
Are we ready for the roll call?
Yeah, did you see who got the second? I couldn't tell.
I heard Miss Smith first, so that's who I recorded.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Barb. Yes, please go ahead, Janice.
Miss Amos,
Aye.
Miss Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Vadunez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Spidler,
Aye.
Chair LeDuc,
Aye.
Mr. Shardine,
Aye.
Ms. Clark,
Aye.
Ms. Dubinsky,
Aye.
Ms. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Mr. O'Keefe,
Aye.
and Ms. Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed unanimously.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 10, agency updates. Tiffany, do you want to go first?
It'd be my pleasure. So good morning. I have a couple items for our agency update, starting with our draft 6-year improvement program. Nicole typically has more information on the VDOT side, but for anyone's reference, we do have a copy of our fiscal year 2023 draft SIP on a new website. So it's our DRPT open data portal. For those of you who submitted grants in this last cycle, you may be familiar with it, but I do provide a link in the agency update. It is now not a static PDF, but it is something that you can actually search through and be able to select by different programs. So if you do have any interest in our SIP, that'll be where you go to look for it. We've also been in attendance at our public hearings throughout the state. So we always appreciate our partnership with VDOT and hosting those. My next item is related to our Transit Service and Delivery Advisory Committee. This is a committee that we reconvene every couple years or so related to work on some of our major grant programs and other initiatives. So they have been reconvened to focus on updates to our merit capital and operating programs, as well as our transit strategic plan guidelines. Our next meeting is scheduled for this Friday, May 13th. It will be at the DRPT offices, but you are able to watch online, and there's registration that's on the DRPT website for more information on that. Besides that, our transit equity and modernization study, we held a virtual forum on April 21st. And right now we have for public comment our draft action plan. So that is now available through our website, which is now changed. So it's now vatransitmodernization.com. So I encourage you all to kind of look through and see some of the draft recommendations that will be coming out as part of our final deliverable due this summer. Last, May is Bike Month for DRPT. So we have been pushing out a lot of promotions in social media and advertising. Our Bike to Work Day will be held next Friday, May 20th, 2022. So I know we have some avid bike enthusiasts. We encourage you all to ride your bike that day, weather permitting. But if there's any interest about any content, graphics that you would like to customize, you may also reach out to our communications or myself to be able to get some of those promotional materials. And if there are any events that are being held during Bike Month that might be of interest, we'd be glad to share it on the Bike VA events calendar. And with that, that's my agency update. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Tiffany? Okay, moving on. Ms. Robinson, will you do GRTC update?
Yeah, I really only have just one quick update, which is our GRTC board meeting is next week on the 17th, Tuesday. It's going to be virtual, and just to check the website for the meeting notice to see if we're going to hold it an in-person session as well. And that's it for the agency update.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Mr. O'Keefe, did you have an update?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Thank you, everybody. Did want to let everybody know we did have a busy month last month. We attended 2 bike to school events in person at Cool Springs Elementary in Hanover County and Chickahominy Middle School in Hanover County. At Cool Springs, we had over 275 participants that walked and biked to school, and 37 participants at Chickahominy Middle School. So those were very well-attended events. We also participated in the Earth Day event in the county of Henrico at Fairfield Library. We're continuing to work with Mac Global on GRTC's telework policy. And we're really starting to hear from more employees as the state agencies reopening occurred last week with the governor's announcement. We're hearing more on van pooling, and we're assisting them with van pool formations as well as carpool formations. We met with the City of Richmond's Office of Equitable Transit and Mobility about pursuing funds to support a van share program for the RRHA residents. We also wrote and compiled supporting documentation, submitted entries for the 2022 ACT Conference Awards. We're continuing to promote our Way to Go Wednesday. And we also created and uploaded to Ride Finder's website 3 new kids activities books. We received the federal authorization and signed off on the fiscal year 22 CMET contract. And we also met with DRPT representatives regarding the draft 6-year improvement plan recommendations and the 2 grants that Ride Finders applied for. And with that, Madam Chair, those were my updates for Ride Finders for the agency, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions for Mr. O'Keefe? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to VDOT. Ms. Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start with the April CTB meeting update. The board received workshop presentations on the Virginia Interagency After Action Report related to the January winter weather event and I-95 incident. They received updates on the Traffic Operations Program and the Innovation and Technology Transportation Fund FY23. And they received presentations on the draft FY23 through 28 Commonwealth Transportation Fund 6-year financial plan and the draft FY23 through 28 6-year improvement program. At their action meeting, the board approved the FY22 through 27 6-year improvement program transfers for February the 19th through March the 18th, which included transfers for the Commerce Road widening project in the city of Richmond, wrong-way mitigation at ramps across the entire Richmond district, and signal MUTCD compliance upgrades, also district-wide. The next workshop meeting is scheduled for May the 17th at 12:45 p.m. And the action meeting will be on the same afternoon following the workshop. These 2 meetings were originally scheduled for 2 separate days, so this is a schedule change. Moving on to Smart Scale Round 5, VDOT planning staff continues to meet with all applicants to review pre-screening results and discuss potential assistance needed for completion of final applications. Pre-screening should be complete by June the 1st. If your pre-applications are screened in prior to June 1, you will be notified that you can begin work on your final applications. Similar to previous rounds, the final application period is anticipated to reopen in June and close in early August. Moving on to the 6-year improvement program, the development of the FY23 through 28 SIP is underway. The Richmond District Public Meeting was held on April the 28th at the Richmond District Office. VDOT would like to thank all the speakers and attendees for participating and providing feedback. Comments will still be accepted until May the 23rd through the online form, via email or USPS posted mail. Again, the draft SIP was presented to the CTB in April, and the final SIP is anticipated to be provided for CTB action at the June board meeting. Moving on to Fall Line News, VDOT continues to develop the design build package for the northern section. We anticipate advertisement by the end of 2022. The development of the design build package for the southern section will immediately follow, probably in the spring of 2023. The 2 location public hearings took place last week on May the 3rd and May the 5th. At the last count, 205 people were at the northern meeting at Louis Ginter, and 80 people attended in Colonial Heights. So I would say that was a really good turnout. Thank you to the localities for coming out and being very helpful answering lots of questions. The Fall Line project information is also available at the VDOT project website, and I've included a link on my update. And you can still send in your comments using the online form or send them to fallline@vdot.virginia.gov. Comments will be accepted through May the 15th. And last but not least, there are currently no public hearings within the TPO study area. Madam Chair, that's my update.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Any questions for Nicole? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to future meeting topics. There's a list of a few topics on page 53. If there's anything else that you'd like an update on, please let the staff know.
Madam Chair.
Any updates on? Oh yeah, go ahead, Sharon. Sorry.
I had a request for a future meeting topic. As Nicole had mentioned, Smart Scale Round 5 is due August 1st. And we need to figure out our final project selections for the region. So I think that should be proactive. That should be on our June agenda. So it could go before the TPO in July. I'm open to suggest, that's my suggestion. I'm open to others' input.
Madam
Anyone
Chair, from a staff perspective,
ahead.
that makes a lot of sense because hopefully we'll have budget numbers and other information by then to be able to have a good discussion in June. We'll put that on the
Okay,
agenda.
thank you, Scott. Sounds good. Any others? Okay. Seeing none, any other TAC member comments? Item 12. Okay, hearing none. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 14th, 9 o'clock. And if there's no other comments, we'll adjourn at 9:50 a.m. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.